Hi, y'all. So I've got a bunch of questions about the gummy bear lab. And so I thought I'd make a video to help clarify some things. I'm on your zoology classroom here, and I'm going to classwork. And I need you to know that if you have not done the part 1, which is slides 1 through 12 of the digital notebook, you will be very lost. So the digital notebook, although it's formative and you don't have to turn it in, you need to do it because all of the assessments are based on that information. So for example, your target 1 that you already have done about characteristics and functions, it was all based on that digital notebook stuff. So if you don't do it, Gummy Bear Lab's not going to make much sense. So anyway, you do need to open that though. So go ahead and open that because you need to be on slide 13 at the beginning of the Gummy Bear Lab. If you've done those slides 1 through 12 and you're ready to open the Gummy Bear Lab, go ahead and open that up. Okay, and you'll notice on the first one it says to go to your digital notebook slide, and I think it says slide 14, but I needed to change that to 13. The one with a big gummy bear on it. So let's see if this is up on slide 13 or not. Should be, but not. So I can either scroll down to slide 13 or use my table of contents to get there. Okay, so I always like to go up here to this arrow and zoom in one time, and that's like my perfect size. So what I'm going to do is start dragging these terms to the correct spot on the gummy bear. So for example, anterior, I've already dragged that over here to the top of the gummy bear because anterior is the head area. Now, again, if you haven't done the symmetry stuff here, slides 8 and 9, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So you need to go back and do that information. And maybe that just didn't occur to you that that's how it's going to work. That's going to be how it works. So the digital notebook is going to be kind of the backbone of all of the assessments. If you don't do the digital notebook, the assessments are going to suffer. So once you've drug all 8 of those terms over, go back here to our gummy bear, you're going to look at the first 8 or 9 questions in Model 1 and Model 2. So the first questions, the type of symmetry that the gummy bear shows, the dorsal and ventral parts of you, you can go ahead and eliminate 4, but don't erase it because then your numbers will be all off. So you can just strike through, and I did that by highlighting it and going up here to Format, Text, Strike Through. And describe the lateral and medial parts of you, and using one of your arms, describe the distal and proximal parts. So all those terms that don't make any sense, maybe you need to go back and review the digital notebook, the symmetry stuff on slides 8 and 9. Then the planes. So the planes are how you are going to actually cut your object. So there's 3 planes. This one on the left with the red here, it's a sagittal plane. So that'd be like if I cut myself in half and had an equal left and right side. The middle one here, the blue, this is transverse. So if I karate chopped myself in half and I had a top and a bottom, that would be a cut in the transverse plane. And then the last one is if I cut myself so I had a front and a back side, that would be a frontal or coronal plane cut. So you need to understand those 3. Now what you're going to do is imagine yourself cut in these ways, sagittally, transversely, and frontally. And you're going to describe either the cut or the way your body, or the pieces of your body, using directional terms from the first model. So these directional terms like dorsal, ventral, lateral, medial, proximal, distal. So those are the first 2 models, and those should be pretty straightforward as long as you've looked at those terms. So this is going to be a dissection where you are at home and you will need to find something to dissect. You will need 4 of the same object. So we in class use gummy bears because there's a front, a back, a top, and a bottom, and a left and a right. Anything that you can cut and has a top, bottom, left, and right will help you to look at the different planes and the different sections. So you can use anything. Food is always helpful because a lot of times you can differentiate a top, bottom, left, and right. We use gummy bears. I don't know about gummy worms. I don't think that would probably be very good, but you might be able to try it. Any kind of Play-Doh or clay that you mold into an animal, like with a head and a tail region, a left and a right. Or fruits and vegetables, you can like carve out an X for the top front, for example, or draw a face to be the top front so that it's easy for you to do that. So you need 4 of that object, okay? Whatever you chose, you're using 4 of it, and please be careful because you are using it. So for the first cut, the first object, I'm going to make a coronal or frontal cut. So that means that I'm going to make this yellow cut. So I'm going to cut it so that there's a front and a back. I'm going to take a picture of the front of it and the back of it. Dorsal means the back. So I will put that back picture here. Ventral means the belly or front side. And so I'm going to put that ventral side there. I'm going to put that picture here. There's a couple ways that you can do this. The easiest way that we're doing, especially if you're using your phone to take pictures, is to take those pictures and email it to yourself. And then you can open up the email and save the picture to your drive. And then you should be able to insert image from your drive this way. There are 2 questions about what you've done, the cuts. Which plane did you cut into the object? This one's easy because it tells you the coronal or frontal plane. And why do you think you cut into that plane? This is kind of like defend that it's that plane. So I know that it's a frontal cut because I have a dorsal and a ventral side. So I know that's where I must have cut it. Your second object, you're going to cut into a top and bottom section. The third object you're going to cut so you have a left and a right side. And the fourth object, if you have like a vegetable or something that doesn't necessarily have legs or something on it, that's okay. You can tell me, I'll be able to tell from your pictures that you used something like, for example, a cucumber with a face on it. And you can just describe the distal and proximal portion of the leg. The important part here, the gummy bear CER at the end. So your question is what type of symmetry, and here are your 3 choices. Again, if you if you don't remember this, you're going to go back to your digital notebook into that symmetry section. It goes through the entire explanation of these 3. And you're going to tell me what type of symmetry it shows. And then you're going to answer that. So my object, maybe it was a cucumber. My cucumber exhibited, and you pick which one, symmetry. Your evidence is from your lab. So how you made a cut, the plane that you cut it on, the pieces that were left. Use vocabulary from your lab to provide evidence. And then reasoning, you're going to do 1 to 2 complete sentences. You're connecting the evidence to the claim and explaining why and how. This is kind of like a conclusion. All right, so that goes through the gummy bear lab. A couple things. This was a 2-day lab for us. So if you're a little bit behind, that's okay, because we did take 2 days to do this. Remember that even though it says, I don't remember when, today it's due, which this is the 9th. That's okay if you turn it in late, there's no penalty, but you don't want to get too much further behind, especially if you haven't done the digital notebook yet either, because you can see we're going to be moving on. As soon as this gummy bear lab is over, we're moving on to the evolution stuff. That's actually what today's notes were about, okay? So there'll be a little bit of a pause because it'll take us 2 or 3 days to do the virtual lab, but you want to keep up with it. And if you have questions, you know, IDK will get you no points. Turning in a blank document will get you no points. You know, this is a summative assignment, so it needs to be done and needs to be done well. The only other summative assignment we really have is the lab safety and the learning target so far. So one missing is gonna plummet your grade. If you still have questions after watching this video, please email me. I would be happy to set up a Google Meet and we can go through specific areas that you are still having trouble with. So just let me know.